Hi, I'm Van, the funeral man. Thanks for joining me today. I am here today to help those who are living as if they are immortal to understand that they are mortal. Because we're all going to die. And I know this is a difficult subject to think about, but it's something that I want to help you with. On my previous video, we talked about a passage of scripture that's in the Old Testament book of Jeremiah about death crawling into your window. It's a vivid imagery, a metaphor of the unavoidable nature and the surprising nature of death. That's the way death can be. First off, it's unavoidable. We're all going to die. But it can also be a surprising thing. We come when we least expect it. So we looked at that metaphor last time, and I said there was two things that you should do in light of the fact, or in light of the certainty of death. The first one was to purchase life insurance. Now, I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not trying to sell you on a certain insurance company, but I certainly would encourage you that if you do not have life insurance, especially if you have a family who's responsible, or you're responsible for providing the income and the family, you should look into life insurance, because death has an uncertain nature. When it's just going to come. It's going to come in a surprising way, and you want to be prepared for that. I was with a family this week who the husband, the father, is dying. He's on life support. Obviously too late to do anything about life insurance. And as I was talking with the family, we broached that subject, and I asked if they had life insurance, and unfortunately they did not. They are among 49% of Americans who do not. I read the other day, 51% of Americans have life insurance. But even that 51% is underinsured. They have barely enough to cover funeral expenses. And so if you're listening, I want to encourage you, in light of the certainty of death, purchase life insurance. Do that. That's something you can do within a matter of minutes, really. The second thing, though, I encourage you to do, and I believe is far more important, and that is to look into how you can put things right between you and your Creator. Now, let me explain who I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about some generic God. I'm talking about the supernatural God who created the heavens and the earth and the sea. The God who created you, the God who created me. We were created by Him, and we were created for Him. That's the God that I'm talking about. Putting things right with our Creator. I thought about this when I thought about a man named John Mellencamp. Now, when I mention that name, many of you are going to recognize him. He's a rocker, musician, been around for a while. He's a baby boomer. He turned 65 a few years ago, and he was interviewed, and they asked him, they said, you've had a great career. You've been successful. You're known around the world. You're famous. What's left for you now? Now that you're 65 years old, what's left for you? Well, I thought for sure I knew what he would say. I thought he was going to say, looking forward to getting back in the studio. I'm looking forward to getting out on the road and taking my music to all my fans. I'm looking forward to that. But that was not what he said at all. In fact, he said, I'm hoping it's one of those long, lingering deathbed conversions. He said, a lot of people say, I hope I just die quick, but not me. I need time to put things right. And when I read that, I was just amazed that, first off, when you say I need time to put things right, it's acknowledging that things are wrong. Now, I don't know John. I don't know who he was talking about. He might have been talking about a family friend, a family member who he got sideways with, and thought, I want to make time to put things right between them. On the other hand, he might have been talking about his Creator. And I'm thinking probably it's that. You see, one day we all will stand before our Creator and give an account of our lives. Now, I know that some will hear this and they'll say, nope, don't believe that. Others, though, in the back of your mind, you've been wondering about that, And really the reason why you wonder is because you hear echoes of this in what you say. Let's say somebody does you wrong. They hurt you. They take something from you. They violate you. And you'll say something like, well, one day you're going to get what you've got coming. Well, what are you saying? You're anticipating a judgment day. You're anticipating a time when things are going to be put right because they're wrong. So we will stand before God and we will have to give an account. And so now would be the time to put things right between you and your Creator. So how are things put right between us and our Creator? Is this something we have to take the initiative to do? Or is it something otherwise? Is it something we have to do? And if it is, what do we do? How do we do that? Well, I met a man a few years ago. I'll never forget this. He's a young father, had 3 children. And he was telling me that each Memorial Day weekend, he takes his children to the military cemetery. And he teaches them to take coins and put them on the headstone. Now, if you're in the military, you know that the coins all stand for something different. Penny stands for something, nickel, dime, that sort of thing. But the general idea is to remember and to honor those who have given the ultimate. They've given their life in service for their country. So he's teaching his children to be respectful and honor those. And as he was telling me about it, though, he smiled and he said, it's kind of my way of balancing the scales. And when he said that, I knew exactly what he was talking about. See, there was a time in my life when that thought rattled around in my head that I needed to balance the scales. Because you see, I realized that in my life I'd done a lot of bad things. I'd hurt a lot of people. I'd been very bad. And so I'd piled up a lot of bad on the scale, you might say. And so I would think, how can I balance that? What's some good things that I can do to balance the scales so that I'll feel better about myself, and maybe God's looking at the scale and He'll see that everything's okay. But I began to see that there was a problem with that. The older I got, there's a problem with that. How can I know when I had balanced an invisible scale? See, this scale somewhere, where's it at? How can I find it? Where can I see it? How can I know when I've done enough good? See, all of that is bad news. I mean, think about it. It's bad news for the burden of balancing a scale to be put on you. In other words, you have to do it. You have to take care of it. You have to fix it. But one day, I heard good news. Good news, great news. I heard the news that God was not pointing me to balancing a scale. He was pointing me to a cross. He was pointing me to the cross where He was not expecting me to take the initiative to put things right. He was showing me that He had taken the initiative to put things right. See, we all have heard the scripture, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. That verse is saying to you and I, God took the initiative. He doesn't place the burden on you and me to do something to fix it. No, He is taking the initiative to put things right between us. God sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to do for us what we could not do for ourselves. So if this is true, and I'm absolutely persuaded it is true, and I hope to persuade you it is true, that perhaps the best place to start by putting things right between you and your Creator is to look to Jesus Christ, is to trust Him. See, the good news is that all of our failures, all of our rebellion, all of our indifference, all of our sin, all of our wrong has been placed upon Jesus at the cross. Jesus, who lived a perfect, obedient life, He has done that for us. He paid our debt. And in return, in Jesus, by trusting in Him, we are freely given His righteous record and made right with God, loved and accepted by our Creator. So, with death poised to crawl into your window, as the Scripture says, you can trust Jesus has made a way for things to be put right between you and your Creator. So, you might be thinking right now, look, I'm a good person. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. Well, if human goodness is what God is looking for, what would that goodness have to look like? Well, next time when we're together in the next video, we'll talk about that. But for right now, if you find this helpful, I hope you'll subscribe and click like and share it with somebody because we're here to help people to have hope. And so I'm Van the Funeral Man, living with hope in life and in death.